Hi everyone, it's Cindy from Cindy's Art. Welcome back, and today I am going to start us off with a nice warm-up project, and it's an orange lighthouse. And I found this picture on Unsplash, but let me tell you about the materials that we're going to use today. This is Fabriano's fat pad. It has 60 sheets of paper. I really love it. Second of all, I am using that same paper cut down to 4.5 by 6 and washi tape in order to tape the project. You know I use Holbein paints. And then I am using my iPad with this picture from Unsplash to look at. And the other items I have are my old cloth, my sponge, and my water bin. So to start this painting off, I'm going to take my washi tape and I'm going to tape the edges. This is about 1/4 inch in size, and it works great because if you're going to frame a picture, no matter how small it is, you want to have a white edge so you can frame it. So I'm going to press this down to the back of my pad that I have here, this gray pad. And the washi tape is great because there's a point where I want to pick it up, I want to turn the paper, and I can do that. So I'm starting off with a watercolor pencil, which means that this pencil, once I sketch with it, if I apply water to it, it's going to help wash away these lines. So I'm using that in order to sketch this lighthouse just very lightly, but enough detail that I can look at it when I go to start painting. I'm going to use this brush to wet down only parts of the sky, and I'm not going to let water go below my horizon line. And I did not paint water on the lighthouse either. So I have a focus, and that's the clouds right now. So that's what we're going to focus on. Now as I'm dropping paint in, I'm going to use a light tone first. It's cerulean blue, and cerulean's really gorgeous. It's got a blue tone, but it has a little bit of purple in it. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of purple, a tiny bit of ultramarine deep for me to develop different colors in the clouds. Just drop your paint in. Don't try to figure everything out when you're working with watercolor. And as you continue to improve your skill, you're not always going to look at a photo so you could try to paint the photo. You're going to wind up seeing clouds yourself. Like I'm seeing these dark clouds below, but I'm seeing them angled. And for me, while I'm painting this picture, to have an angled cloud actually works well because it's going to draw the viewer's eye right towards that lighthouse, which is what I want. So I'm going to drop some color in, and I'm playing at this point. If something got too dark, I could dab it up with a little bit of tissue paper or paper towel, kitchen paper towel for us in America. And I'm just going to put little dabs of color. I've got some purple working here, a little bit of dark blue on that horizon, and basically I dab it in, let it run, because this is pretty wet paper. But it's not completely wet. And I'm going to let that run until I feel like I've got it. And it's more of what I see with my eye and that I like what I'm seeing than it is of looking at a picture and saying, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I see. Just play. We're going to move on to painting the lighthouse. Mind you that this picture has dried really well. Like I've left it like 30 minutes, or I've taken an air dryer and I've blown it dry. My goal right now is to simply lay in a little bit of color. I'm going to use the light colors first, and I'm not just using orange. Orange is also a yellow orange. If you look at adjacent colors to the color you want, if we want orange, then we want to look at red orange, we want to look at orange, we want to look at yellow orange, and I might even go towards yellow and a touch of green. I want to add in some other colors. Why? It makes it interesting. It keeps the viewer's eye on your subject. you need some variety, some variation in color, so it's a great way to do it. So you're going to see me use more reds, orange red, and maybe a touch of purple in the darks as we move forward. And the light color, the light side, which is on the right here, I'm going to save that for more of my yellow colors. There's that beautiful yellow I was talking about on the right hand side, and I've let that dry, and now I'm going to add in a little bit of dark detail. I want to see where the detail is that I need to protect, and so I'll paint some of the darkness and some of the darker tones and detail so I know where I'm going. This is such a small painting, so I want that in there. And I'll be laying in a little bit of those shadows, and then I'm going to add in layers of more color. I had let everything dry again, and right now what I'm doing is deepening the orange. Even having a yellow background, it's going to make that side glow. That's what yellow does underneath. It gives it a beautiful glow. So I'm going to add in some more dark tones on the right and the left hand side of the lighthouse, so that shadow continues to develop, and I'm going to keep the right side of it light. Now that that's dried again, we're going to move on to the field and stones. Keep this really loose. I'm going to put a few dabs of water on here across the field, and I'm going to start to add in some burnt umber with some neutral in it, some burnt sienna, which is a lighter brown color, some sap green, which is a nice light color. I'm not worrying about where I've got stones, does it match the picture. Basically, I'm creating contrast right now, right around that lighthouse. And then I want to add some interest into this field. So I'm adding in dabs of this sap green. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to scrape it upwards right there. And what I'm doing is creating some grass strands with that. And I'm letting the water do the work for me at this point. I'm going to continue to add in some lights and darks just to define a little bit more stones, and then I will share with you some of the next steps in a minute here. When you've laid color down on a picture, if you still want to create some more light blades of grass, you can take a paintbrush and you can wet it down, make sure there's no paint on it, and then dab it down on the rag like I do to the left. And I'm taking that brush and I'm scraping upwards. I'm doing that right now. I'm scraping upwards, and what it does is remove some of that paint that's there. And because the brush is dry, it's going to wind up protecting those blades of grass that I've just added in. That's a lifting off technique, that's what that's called. Now I'm going to add in a little bit more salt into this. I'm going to let that dry. It's going to create a texture. It almost looks like flowers when it's done. Now we're moving into the final stage, details, details, details. So I'm taking a look at this painting and I'm looking to find out, like, what does it really need? And I do feel that the lighthouse, since it's the center of attention, it needs a little bit more detail. So I'm going to take some of my darker reds, possibly a little bit of neutral, and I'm going to add in details to help define and make this lighthouse pop out. And just by the way, take a look at the field of where that salt was. It almost creates like little flower heads when you work with salt. And try it sometime with your paint which is super wet, and try it when it's only a little bit wet. The less water that's in the paint, the smaller detail and the less fuzzy the salt is gonna make a pattern. It's pretty fun to play with, so you gotta try it. Remember, I think my motto is play, play, play. At the end here, I used a white watercolor pencil. I'll be picking it up in a second here. And I used that to help create a little bit of whiteness and tight white lines around the buildings. I just felt like it needed it. And then I'm going to take the washi tape off. We have finished it. Make sure you sign it. And I would love to see you next time. Join me, and I would love to see your work. You can do that on Instagram or Facebook. You guys take care. We'll see you again soon.